recognize Dr. Baird for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that, okay? You know, I'm sure that all of you, I'm amazed at the talents and skills that you have. And I'm sure that as you thought about this meeting and being a witness, that you had things you thought we ought to know. So I'm going to give each one of you that opportunity to tell us the 1 or 2 things that you think on this committee, because we have oversight on a lot of the science and research and basic research, and that's not an easy task. So I'd just like to give each one of you, if you want to, a couple of things that you think you'd like for this committee to know.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. I'll start, and I just want to touch on something you said in your opening remarks. It really, this does constitute an opportunity, as you're hearing, I think, from the panelists here, it's a tremendous opportunity for the United States in innovation and competitiveness. I think the last discussion about it's not regulations versus innovation, it's how innovation can symbiotically interact with things, and it does require a key element of leadership, not the federal government in and of itself, but the convening power of the federal government to try and do this. And I think it goes significantly to the future of U.S. competitiveness, the manufacturing sector in general, the way we do research, again, thinking things in this life cycle context, where that's been largely absent in us, is, I think, the key opportunity. And I think if any country in the world can do this, it's the United States with the collective resources that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have two points. The first one is about education. I think that if a young child dreams to be a musician, they understand that they're going to have to practice, and it takes a pathway to become a musician. If a child wants to be an athlete, they know that the first time they throw a ball, it's not going to work well, and they got to practice. But is there a model of what it means to be an inventor? Is there a model of what it means to be an innovator? Does a young child see that path? And what opportunities are we losing because we're not illustrating that path? And if the crisis of sustainability lies in the domain of invention, we need more inventors. And we need to really be introspective. Does our educational system in K through 12 and in university actually foster the concept of innovation and invention? And that's just something we really need to take a deeper look at. And the second point is just to reiterate, the field of toxicology, the field of environmental health sciences is burgeoning with information. Every day there's new results happening. There is no conduit to the inventor's lab table. We need to find policy ways or whatever ways to help facilitate that invention. If smart people that want to invent things have the tools to invent, they will invent.
I have 2 points also. I think one is this is a great space for public-private partnerships. There's a lot of opportunity here where there are a lot of innovations and discoveries that are in academic labs, in national labs, or in startups that don't have the capital or the expertise to go through that pipeline and get those at scale in the market and commercialized. There's some really good examples of this in other countries, including Green Center Canada, where they've set up a similar idea of bringing technologies in. It's a self-supporting entity on the royalties and licensing agreements of those technologies that come out the other end. Go back into support for the research and development. And speaking of the national labs, that's a great place for us to go look. So that's research that is being mandated and can be directed. And there are a lot of innovations and patents that are sitting on the shelf at the national labs that should be in a database that's searchable, that other people in academia and small businesses can build on to advance green chemistry.
I would just reiterate the importance of that collaboration between the public and private sectors. I think through that collaboration, we can make significant strides in new innovations, but also in idea incubation, commercialization, and otherwise. And legislation like that, which we are talking about today, there's another piece of legislation called the Clean Industrial Technologies Act that's being introduced today as well, that's looking more at processes and how to make more sustainable processes available and refine them for the industrial sector. These kinds of initiatives by the government, I think, are the kind of opportunities where you allow the private sector to do what they do best, and you allow the government and the public sector to do what they do best.
Very briefly, I think it's just important to reiterate how much demand we're seeing in the marketplace for these solutions. The market is correcting towards a sustainable economy, and I think that we are actively pursuing that. And if we can do anything as companies, perhaps it would be to bring you the evidence, and especially we as a business-to-business company across so many different sectors, we're seeing this articulated in every industry. And so I think that there is a maturing process going on within the marketplace that needs some knowledge sharing and some access to new patents and ideas, but it is active and happening, and we'd be delighted to be able to help increase the kind of knowledge base of this committee.